Hello everyone, welcome back and welcome to viewers to some more Stormworks. Today we are doing something different. Today I want to talk about some things that I think should be in the game. Some super simple things that would just totally make the base game so much better. So let's go ahead and let's go over and jump into the hangar here and let's just start talking about some of the things that I've got listed here. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is jet engines. We only have one size jet engine right now. Now we do have a different size intake to make, say, bigger jet engines, but when we have three different size modular engines here, and this is a modular jet engine, why can't we get a few different sizes here? Plus, we also have a vanilla engine for diesel. Why don't we have a vanilla jet engine for those who don't understand how to put a jet engine together? I think that would help out a lot of new players coming into the game, say, who want to build jets, to just be able to slap a jet engine in, slap some fuel to it, and then go. That's one of the struggles that I had when I first started playing the game, is getting into modular engines, getting into jet engines, just because it was a little overwhelming with all the stuff that you have to connect. But when it came to vanilla engines, it was a little bit easier to understand. Hook up the pipes, connect up some nodes, then you're good to go. So I would like to see some smaller jet engines, which would be really cool for some really small miniature builds, and maybe a bigger jet engine. Who knows? Something that maybe fits this guy here. Something that would translate a lot more power to it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on jet engines. I would love to see some different size jet engines, maybe even some new parts in here. I don't know if we can get some new parts in here, but just do one to maybe bring up to this size here, and then maybe something smaller, since we are getting into some smaller jet engine sizes now with even in the real world. So that'd be something kind of cool to see. All right. Let's go to the next thing. All right, so the next thing that I would like to see would be a 1x3 wedge. We've got a 1x1, we've got a 1x2, and we've got a 1x4, but no 1x3. I know this has been mentioned a lot. I know the devs have talked about this a lot, and it's just an idea of bringing in more and more blocks, and they're worried about things being overwhelming. The game's already overwhelming enough, so adding a 1x3 block in here with all its corresponding wedges and pyramids and things like that isn't going to confuse players any more than they already are. But I would like to see this even be, brought out even further. If we could get like a 1x5, a 1x6, or maybe just skip a couple of these, give us like a 1x8 for that really long, skinny pattern here. But yeah, a 1x3. This just feels missing. This is the missing link to all our wedges and all our connection pieces here. So that would be something really nice to see. Just another simple little update. Just boom, we get a 1x3, we get 1x3 wedges, we get 1x3 pyramids. That would be super cool. I'd be super excited about this. All right, let's talk tank tracks. We do have quite a few tank tracks here. We've got 4 sets in the game, but a lot of you I know are wanting different tank tracks. So let's talk about what we've got here. Here, we're going to talk about this as 1 wide. We're not going to count the actual connection piece here, but we'll talk about this being 1 wide here. We have a 1 wide by 3x3. This is what we have. We don't have a 2x3x3. That would be nice. So that would take this track here and that would make it 1 block wider to match up with this that you see behind us here. Now this one jumps up and this becomes the 2x5x5. That's what we have here. So we're missing the 2x3x3 because all we have is the 1x3x3 here. Now this is a 2x5x5, and then we have what would feel like I think this is a 3x5x5, and then this becomes a 4 by, I don't know how many blocks this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's missing tracks in here. We could easily take this down. This could be a thinner block. This could be a 1x5x5. So that would be a thinner track there. We get the 2x3x3 here. That would be a nicer track to fill in that gap. And then, yeah, we could even do the same thing here. We could shrink this one down to a more narrow track, give us the 3 track, even give us a, give us a 2 and a 1 on this as well for the size of the tracks. I know it seems like a lot and it's a lot to be adding to the game, but these are all parts that every time I've done like a build, I'm going, man, I really wish I had this part instead. And I end up having to rebuild everything, shrink it in by a couple blocks just to make some of these fit or make things stick out some more just so they look right. And then you have to come in and fill in blocks and stuff to fill in these gaps. So yeah, a couple more tank tracks would be really nice. I think a lot of people would be excited about that. So yeah, a 2x3x3 would be nice. A 1x5x5 would be nice. Maybe a 3 or a 4x5x5, and maybe a 3 and a 2x6x6, I think is what those are. So yeah, that'd be a super cool addition to the game as well. Let's move on to the next thing here. All right, next up on our list, let's talk connectors. We have just recently received this new little fluid port end here in the last few months. That's kind of a smaller, more slim version of this block here, but now we don't have any for these. I would love to see this translated over into these guys as well. And if I've missed one here, I'm sorry, I apologize. I tried to put them all down here, but I think these are the ones that we have that don't have stuff like that. But just a fluid hose anchor that's just a straight piece that would clip into a pipe, so we don't have this block sticking out of everything. When we try to make gas tanks and refuel systems, same thing with the anchor here. If we could just get rid of the lower block for a lot of these, like this could just get rid of the lower block. We can just put a nice little node here. Same thing with the rope anchors here. If we could just get rid of the block and just have it where we could place this here. This reminds me of how the transponder works. The transponder is just a tiny little piece that sits on it. So that should be the way these work. Same thing with this and this. And I know if these have fluid running through it, these should be a pipe system. So these would be more like this with like a node on top. But I think that would clean a lot of these blocks up and make these a lot more nicer. It would change a lot of the builds. Just for me, being able to make a cleaner fluid hose anchor port for all my refuel systems would be top notch. I think just not having this big square cube here on the end of my my pipe would change things big time. So yeah, just another little change there. I think it'd be a nice little addition to the game. All right, for this one, we're going to stay in the workbench just so I can explain some things about these fixes here. So we've got a couple buttons here, and a lot of these buttons, you can't place something on the area in front of it. So if I wanted to say put a block here and then have a button in front of this, we can't do that because there's a hitbox on the front of the button. Now, this doesn't make any sense to me because if you come over to the two-sided buttons, one side of them has a hitbox and the other side does not. So you could technically hide the button within a wall or something. So if we can do this here on the two-sideds, why can't we do this on any of our buttons here? So we should be able to get rid of this hitbox, and this hitbox for all buttons. I think that would be ideal. Now this one, I understand having a hitbox because this is a door that opens up. I understand this having a hitbox because there's a key here and there's something in the way. But when there's nothing in the way, there shouldn't be a hitbox in these areas. Now the other thing that I would like to see is how we have in the instrument panel here, we have a couple options here for things that we can choose, including arrow buttons, which I think is a really nice addition. You can do left, right, up, down for arrows. I would like to see a big arrow button for one of these. Now we don't need left, right, up, down because we can flip that around however we want in our build, but an arrow button in place of a square would be really awesome. You know what, instead of that, also let's add a round button to this. A round button would be really nice as well to add some just some more dynamics to the game here. So if we got a triangle button and a round button added to the big blocks here, plus if we had the hitboxes taken away, that would be a super awesome major update. And I don't know if it's possible because I understand size reasons as well, but to see the key and the lock door come over to the instrument panel as well, and to have a smaller turnkey and a smaller little locked push button or button there as well, that could be really cool. But the main thing I want to see done would be really nice would be to get rid of the hitboxes and then the addition of the arrow keys to the bigger blocks and maybe some round buttons. I think that'd be a really nice addition. All right, on to the next one. Okay, next up on the list is the rotary cannon. And again, these are in no particular order. I've just written down a bunch of things that I think need to be kind of assessed with the game and fixed, and I'm just kind of going through them randomly as I see fit here. But with the rotary cannon here, I don't like this wedge. This wedge is such a pain in the butt. If we could either get rid of this wedge here or provide some square blocks across. Because every time I do a build, I'm trying to tuck this gun into something, and then you end up with, let's see if I can do it here. You end up with something that looks like this across here, and then you've got this gap. I would like to be able to hide this gun in something. You know what I'm saying? But now this gap prevents me from doing that. It creates an ugly little bump here that now I have to come in and add more blocks, which more weight, more money, more things like that. And sometimes that really just changes the shape of a build. So I feel like that could be a super simple fix. We can just get rid of this little row of blocks here, either make it all square or just get rid of it altogether and allow us to put our own blocks in there. Because if we could put our own blocks in there, I could put something like a wedge. I could start a wedge from there. That could be really nice. You see what I'm saying? And now we've got our own little shapes that we can create there. So this feels like a restriction here on the rotary cannon, and it would be nice to see that removed. All right, on to the next one. Okay, next up on the list is pulleys. We have the U-shaped pulley, we have the C-shaped pulley, or the corner, but we don't have any straight pulleys. I didn't think that would be a thing that I would need, but after building a couple ships and having ropes at the really far back of the ship and having some sort of boom system that comes back and forth, having a straight pulley would be nice to be able to run ropes through, something that it can just dangle through. Because when you start using these are in the way. These get a little too clustered. So maybe a 1x3 or even a 1x2. Probably a 1x3 is probably what it would end up being. But you could do a 1x3 or 1x2 where it's just a pulley on either end and it's just a straight shot block. And that would allow you to bring a rope from the back, go through a system, just a nice little straight system, and dangle that rope through to whatever, say, your winch or more pulleys over here. Just a nice little addition that we could have, that we could change something. Because that's not working for us right now with these large pieces. So nice little addition. We'd have a pulley update, and you probably put some other pieces in here as well. There might be some other pulleys that we have forgotten about, but the 1x3 or 1x2 straight piece would be super beneficial to some of our fishing vessels as well. With our long lines and stuff that we have going out, man, I couldn't. So many things I could do with a straight pulley. Now it's not really a pulley at that point, but it's just more of a pass through for a rope. But there's so many things I can think that I could have done with that. Having a winch on the boat itself, low center of mass, and then have it just go up straight through some straight pieces, so it's not hanging down super low, it's not dangling in the way, it just looks nice and super clean up on your booms or whatever, however you want to do that. But a straight pulley piece would be a nice addition to the game as well. All right, so here's one for you. This is our landing float. This is currently the only landing float that we have in game, and if you want a nicer or a bigger one, you have to stack these guys end to end, but then you're left with this, again, kind of like the rotary cannon. You've got these wedges here that are just a little they're too ugly when you start slapping stuff together. So I would like to see maybe some different shaped landing floats, maybe a longer version of this. Maybe let's get one that's like 3 long, so it looks like a nice tube and all these are out of the way. We can get some that maybe have more of a scoop towards the front, flat top, maybe more of a pitch to it like a boat, more like a seaplane would be nice. Just some different shapes for these. I think that'd be a nice little update as well. There's so many builds where I've tried to do float planes, things like that, and then these just, as soon as you do it, it just changes the build altogether. It doesn't look right, and then I have to end up building custom floats where then I'm having to shove pivots inside to make sure that they actually do float and look right. So yeah, if we could get some more shapes to the landing floats, I think that'd be a really cool idea. Just some longer versions of these, maybe some wider versions of these, some different shaped noses for these, or maybe flat this off and then give us a nose cone for these. You know, just give us some different shapes that we can change this up a bit. I don't know, just some ideas. Going on to the next one. All right, here we are looking at pivots. We've got a few pivots here. We've got our small compact robotic. Let's see, this is the fluid, this is the RPS, and then we have the velocity pivot here. Now it would be kind of cool to be able to see maybe some RPS power and fluid power to some velocity pivots as well, and maybe get an electrical only robotic. That would be a nice little addition here. Plus getting some composite on these would be really nice to be able to transfer some information, as well as bringing the current rotation to these smaller ones. I think that would be really nice as well. Bring us the current rotation to these smaller ones and give us composite across the board here. You know what, since we're talking about composite, let's just put composite on everything. Composite on every block from now on till the end of Stormworks. If you're building a new block for us, give us a composite. Don't even question, do they want composite? Yes, no, maybe. Yes, we want composite for everything. It just makes things so much simpler and so much cleaner when we're trying to make microcontrollers and get things done. So I would love to see that, especially on the nets. We've got the new fishing nets. Since we're talking about composite, we can come over here. We've got the controls here, but if we had a composite, there's so much more that we could do with this. Plus, with composite, I'd like to be able to see a node that tells us how full our nets are. I think we're starting to figure out this around somewhere between 40 and 60 fish in the net, and then your net stops catching fish. I'd like to see an actual number for that so that we can actually just stop guessing. Maybe give us a weight limit for it or a total number of fish. I don't know. You guys figure it out. It's your game. But a composite on this would be super, super helpful, as well as composite on every single thing that we have. Just to be able to pull a composite node and to read all the information in a microcontroller. Oh, it's going to clean things up so much better. So that would be an update that I'd love to see. Some composites on this, move some rotations over to these guys, and yeah, maybe give us a electric version of the robotic, and then maybe give us an RPS and a fluid of the velocity. That could be some super cool changes there. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so the next one here, we are going to talk about wheels. A lot of you are requesting dually wheels, so we want to be able to do something like this, which we can't do. The only other way to do it would be to use some sort of mod or XML parts, which a lot of us don't know how to do. So going in and messing with the files is a little bit scary for people. So for us just to have another tire that sits in here like that, looks like that, but it's all connected to the same thing, super cool. That would be so super cool. And we could do it for all the tires. So you've got the 3x3, the 5x5, the 7x7, and the 9x9. Can you imagine a 9x9 dually? Oh, that would be so awesome though. That would be so awesome. Let's see if we can set that up here real quick. So that would be a sideways dually minus all of this and minus the little plug that sticks out there. I think that would be super cool. Or give us a tire that it maybe not necessarily it has to have this plug. It could just be a tire. It could be a tire without the pivot here. Let us put our own pipe piece in between it and then connect it up that way. Or because then we could just use this tire piece as a decoration piece like our other tires that we have, because that could be super cool as well. But yeah, just some simple fixes there. All right, so a couple things that not necessarily with the build area, but just in game in general. I've had a bunch of people ask me for rescue us for a fee. I know there's add-ons out there for that, but it would be nice if that was part of the base game, considering it is a rescue game. It'd be nice to be able to just pull out the radio. Maybe you have to have a radio on your actual build or something, and then you can phone into 16, radio into 16, whatever you want to call it, and then that would charge you a fee. It would come to your location, pick you up, take you to the nearest owned base that you have, and then of course charge you for that distance and that time, whatever. I think that'd be a nice, cool little addition there as well. Better paint option for all the blocks. There's a lot of blocks that need to be have additional paint areas, especially the paint blocks that we have in game. Actually, I can come to the workbench and show you this. This would be a nice little addition to have here. So we've got our paintable sign here, and if you were to flip it on its side, it's only paintable on this one side. I would love to see it paintable on this side as well. A lot of times when you're doing, like, say, a tail for an airplane or a helicopter or something like that, you want to put some nice decals on it, but you can't put it on the other side because you've got to make it too wide now. And that's the only way that we can get paint on the sides of that, and that really just super chunkies up some builds. So it'd be nice to see the paint grid on both sides here, and where it would paint different on both sides, or if we mirrored it, we could actually have it on both sides. I think that'd be a nice little cool change there to that block. And if we don't need it, then we just don't need it. You don't have to have a hitbox there. See, we don't have a hitbox, so we could just build it into something if you needed, and then only have one side painted. It could be super simple like that. So yeah, there's my thought on that. And you know, just a couple little things with other blocks. You know, there's several little secondary paints that we can do. I noticed on the belts, like the belts and the drums here, you can actually paint secondary colors, which is really nice. So let's come in here and take the green. You can see we can actually paint the actual belt up. Then you could come in here and you can paint up the drum itself a different color. That should be available for all blocks. All blocks should have a main color and a secondary color that we can paint. That would be huge, 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 huge the way the builds look. I mean, every one of these items, you know, come in here, place that down. I know that's got gray on it, but you know what? I want to paint that little section green, but I can't. It's stuck gray. This should be able to be painted orange, and then I should be able to come in here and paint that belt green. So that would be my thoughts on updating some of the painting abilities for a lot of the blocks there. All right, and another one I think would be really nice to have would be the hospital ship could stop for us. That would be for all of our career players that we do that. That would be really nice to have that boat actually stop for us, instead of having to find some way to like mag all to the side of this boat, have our boat get like swept underneath the boat while we're trying to rescue people. It's a super simple thing. The light comes on when you get near it, so why can't the boat stop? And I know there's an add-on out for there as well. well that's been put out. So it's just a simple thing. I know it's always, well, the add-ons will take care of it. The add-ons will take care of it. This is another little simple thing I feel like needs to be in game. Fix the hospital ship and give us the ability to call in ourselves for a rescue, because I am getting super tired of swimming back when I fall off my boat. I don't mind paying for a rescue. I've usually got the money sometimes, so I don't mind that at all. And last but not least, let's get in here and let's talk what I think everybody wants the most of, and that is Windows. Windows. I know we have a ton of Windows already, but there's a ton of Windows that we don't have and that we need. There's a huge list there. I could go into all the extra ones that we need of this, the reverse ones that we need of this. I wouldn't mind a 4x4. A 4x4 would be nice of that. A 1x4 of this one would be nice, considering that we have a 1x4 angle like that. I'd also like to see if we got into some of these window changes to maybe do some that are on maybe the same angle as our wedges, because sometimes when I'm building roofs of vehicles, it'd be nice to pop a nice little skylight in this and have a window that's on an angle here and not have to go in and use another, again, XML block. And I know you guys are saying there's already a lot of windows in game and sometimes it gets a little complex. So if that's an issue, then maybe give us some specialty windows. How about give us an actual bubble cockpit that we can use for jets that has an already built-in cockpit that lifts up, you know, something that is sort of like the HOTUS seat, you know, we just kind of plop it in. It's all there, nothing in front of us, so we can actually put our dials and gauges the way we want to, but just have that bubble cockpit already set up and ready to go to where it goes over top of the seat, it doesn't clip the character, something like that. I feel like that could be a huge thing that could change the game as well. But yeah, even some more porthole shapes. There's so many different things you could do with windows and things like that. All right, well, that is my rant for today, you guys. That is a whole bunch of things that I think should be added to the game that I think should be super easy fixes to make you guys happy, make me happy, and just really kind of keep the game going the way it should be. But you guys have any ideas, make sure you throw them down in the comments. If we get enough, I'll make another part 2 of this video, and hopefully it gets enough attention that we can actually get some of these things done for us. But yeah, guys, thanks for all the ideas to help put this first video together, and I appreciate it. Make sure you throw a like on this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and let's get the information out there. I would love to see these changes in 2024, at least this year. That'd be nice. That'd be a great little thing that we can do. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you, and we will see you in the next one.